There are some sex-dependent effects of caffeine, but for those out there that don't enjoy exercise, ingesting caffeine gives us energy to exercise. There's another very important and potent use of caffeine for enhancing performance, and this relates not just to the dopamine and epinephrine and the arousal-inducing effects of caffeine, and it doesn't even just relate to the effect of caffeine on enhancing frontal lobe function. It does include all that, but it also includes those reinforcing effects of caffeine that we talked about at the beginning of the episode. And the best way to illustrate these performance-enhancing effects of caffeine that stem directly from its association with reinforcement is to highlight a study. And the title of the study is Blood Dopamine Level Enhanced by Caffeine in Men After Treadmill Running. And as the title suggests, this was carried out in men, but there's no reason to think that the same results wouldn't also be present in women. There are some sex-dependent effects of caffeine I'll touch on just briefly at the end, but those are largely present in kids, that is adolescents and teens, as opposed to adults. So this study is really interesting. What they had people do was run on a treadmill and either ingest caffeine, again, 3 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, or to not ingest caffeine, and then they looked at levels of dopamine and other neurotransmitters and hormones such as prolactin and cortisol. And the basic takeaway is, as the title suggests, that exercise, while on its own, can increase cortisol in healthy ways, provided it's not too intense and too long. Little note here, if you have trouble recovering from exercise or you want to continue to derive the benefits from exercise, in general, best not to do high-intensity exercise for longer than 75 minutes or 90 minutes, probably being the outer threshold. I realize that there are some genetic freaks out there or people that are chemically assisted that can recover from very intense, long bouts of exercise, but most people don't do well through long bouts of intense exercise on a regular basis, and limiting their intense exercise to 60 minutes or less, that doesn't include the warm-up, is going to be beneficial. See the episode on Toolkit for Fitness if you'd like details on that. Exercise is known to increase levels of dopamine, cortisol, and other catecholamines and neurotransmitters very potently, and things like testosterone and estrogen in ways that we know are beneficial to us, and of course have all these positive effects on the musculoskeletal system and cardiovascular effects. But unbeknownst to most people, ingesting 3 milligrams per kilogram of caffeine prior to exercise further increases the dopamine release associated with exercise specifically. And this has two important effects. First of all, that increase in dopamine is great because it provides a long-lasting increase in focus, alertness, and motivation, not just during the exercise, but also after the exercise. And second, that is caffeine and dopamine in combination, act as a reinforcer to make the experience of exercise and the period immediate after exercise more pleasant and in fact reinforcing. So in other words, one way to enjoy exercise more and to enjoy the activities that follow exercise more and to experience a genuine increase in dopamine that's beneficial for mood and alertness is to ingest caffeine prior to exercise. Now, this is important because a number of people out there are exercising, love exercise, love eating great, love doing all the things that are beneficial for their health. But a number of people out there really don't like to exercise. And that serves as a serious block for their willingness and their consistency to exercise. Ingesting caffeine gives us energy to exercise. It increases the release of neurochemicals and hormones that are good for us during exercise. But as I'm highlighting here, it also increases the reinforcement pathways associated with exercise. That is, it creates a positive feeling about the general theme of engaging in exercise, and it creates a general positive experience of the things that follow exercise. So I think this, if nothing else, is a call for or support for the idea that ingesting caffeine as a performance-enhancing tool makes perfect sense. But for those out there that don't enjoy exercise, in particular certain forms of exercise, ingesting caffeine can change your relationship to that exercise. In other words, make it more positive. Much in the same way that ingesting caffeine alongside a certain taste that would otherwise be neutral or maybe even negative can actually make the taste of that particular drink or food positive. So again, this brings us back to the reinforcing properties of caffeine that are subconscious. It's not just about the enhanced performance in the test or the enhanced performance on the treadmill or with the weights in the gym. It's enhanced feelings of mood and well-being that are genuine because of the effect of caffeine on certain neurotransmitter and hormone systems. But it also is creating an overall milieu of reinforcing all of the things that led into, occur during, and occur after exercise.